Hello, my name is Pete Cummins and I'm a musician from Dublin. I'm a big fan of Bob Dylan, and my friend Shane Mary Doyle asked me if I'd like to do a small tribute piece for Bob's 80th birthday on the 24th of May. In the past I have put on some tribute gigs for Bob on his 50th, 60th and 70th birthday, and I was hoping to do one this year, but I'm afraid the circumstances wouldn't allow that to happen. So I'm just doing this little home video, and I hope you like it. In the early 60s, I was in a beat group, and we were kind of like Beatles type band, and I think that's when I first heard Bob. I used to go to the folk clubs in Dublin. There was a big folk revival in Dublin in the early 60s, and I used to go to these clubs, and I would have heard people do Bob's songs. I like Bob, but it was only when I heard Highway 61 and I got a copy of it. I mean, I couldn't believe it. That album just blew me away, really blew me away. The sound on it, that rocky sound, great band, and of course his lyrics and his singing. And from then I've been a huge admirer of his work. So as I said, I'm going to do this little tribute. I'm going to sing a few Dylan songs, simple thing, and I hope you enjoy it. So the first song I'm going to do is from Highway 61, and it's called Tom Thumb's Blues.
When you're lost in the rain in Juarez, and it's Easter time too. When your gravity fails and negativity don't pull you through. Don't put on any airs when you're down on Rue Morgue Avenue. They got some hungry women there, they really make a mess out of you. If you see St. Annie, please tell her thanks a lot. I cannot move, my fingers they're all in a knot. I don't have the strength to get up and take another shot. And my best friend, my doctor, won't even say what it is I got. Sweet Melinda, the peasants call her the goddess of gloom. She speaks good English, she'll invite you up into her room. And you're so kind and careful not to go to her too soon. She'll take your voice and leave you howling at the moon. Up on Housing Project Hill, it's either fortune or fame. You may pick one or the other, no, neither are them are to be what they claim. If you're looking to get silly, you better go back to from where you came. 'Cause the cops don't need you, and man, they expect the same. All the authorities, they just stand around and boast how they blackmail the sergeant in arms into leaving his post and picking up angels who just arrived in from the coast. She looked fine at first and left looking just like a ghost. I started out in Burgundy, she'll hit the harder stuff. Everybody said they'd stand behind me when the game got rough. But the joke was on me. There was nobody even there to bluff. I'm going back to New York City. I do believe I've had enough.
I was playing with the Fleadh Cowboys in 1988, and Peter Aiken rang me one day and asked us would we like to do support Bob Dylan in the RDS. Of course we did, says I. On the night of the gig, we went in for the sound check just before the gig, and everything was ready for us up on the stage. Gear was all there, everything. Did our sound check, and after the sound check, I just asked the stage manager if he would give some stuff to Bob to sign, you know, photographs and whatever. And he said, oh no, Bob doesn't sign anything. He said he wouldn't even sign stuff for me on my birthday. So after the sound check anyway, we went backstage and we're in our trailer backstage, and Bob's trailer is beside ours. And I went outside, out of the trailer, standing there having a smoke, leaning against the trailer. And Bob's door opens and himself and a woman exit and walk over to the toilets. She's an assistant or something, and she's bringing him over to the toilets. And while he goes in, she waits outside, and I saw that as my chance. So I brought the photographs, whatever, all the things I wanted signed, and I asked her would she give them to Bob to get them signed. She said, yeah, of course, no problem. It was a really nice woman, lovely. And I gave them to her and went back to my own dressing room. She knocked about 10 minutes, 15 minutes later with all the stuff, and it was all signed and really well done. But like, you know, Bob saying to the Cowboys, keep it going and all stuff like this. Best wishes, Bob Dylan. Everything. I gave him quite a few pieces to do, and he had everything signed. And I was thrilled. We did our gig. It was a good gig. We had a good gig, and then Bob went on, and he was in his anorak phase, and he did his gig. You know, it wasn't the best I ever saw Dylan, but it was great to be there, so close to him. So anyway, we went off home after the gig. I was very happy. I was a happy man. And next day or the day after, we're rehearsing in Lytton Lane. And a phone call comes in. Somebody comes up and tells me there's a phone call. This was pre-mobile phone, remember. So I went down to the office, took the phone call, and it was Peter Aiken on the phone, and he was really excited, and he was going, I've got a telegram here from Bob Dylan. He's in London, and he wants to get in touch with you. He wants you to get in touch with him. So and Peter said to me, you should go to London tonight. And I went, I can't just go to London tonight. So he said, well, ring his manager, call his manager, Elliot Roberts, in LA. So I did that, and Elliot knew all about it, and he said, yeah, Bob got your record and he's played it and he really likes it, and he'd like to do something with you. In fact, what it is he is starting his own record label, and he'd love this to be the first album on the label. And I went, wow, this is amazing. And he said, look, call me back next week. So I called him back the next week, appointed day, appointed time, and Elliot straight away on the phone to me, no problems, no delays. He said, yeah, everything's going out, can you send me more records? I said, sure, and if you have any promotion stuff, and he got everything. And the next week I called him, he says, yeah. He says, we're just talking to CBS now at the moment because Bob wants them to license the label. So he said, call me next week, this could take a bit of time. So anyway, I did. Good vibe, no news yet. Next week, called him the next week. No, everything's going ahead, but CBS are a bit sticky, they're a bit messy, so you'll have to maybe, well, call me next week and I'll let you know how things are going. So that went on for a couple of weeks, in fact, you know. And but then I rang him one day and he picked up the phone and he said, Pete, I'm really sorry. Bob has fired me. And it was like, what? And he said, yeah, he's just, I don't work for him anymore. I said, what? He said, I can't do anything. I don't work for him anymore. So I said, okay. I said, I sympathised with him for losing his job, and although he was managing Neil Young at the same time, so he wasn't going to be on his uppers, as we say. So hung up and told the guys in the band, and disappointment all round. But we got over it, you know. There was nothing to do, nothing I could do, because I had never spoken to Bob. I had never called Bob, got his number or anything like that. And I thought, well, if they want me, they know how to get me through Peter Aiken, or just ask Elliot for my number. But they never did. And the record label didn't actually happen for a couple of years. And then finally they brought something out, and it was a tribute to Jimmy Rogers. And funny enough, we had a Jimmy Rogers track on the album that we were trying to get the deal for. And I often wonder about that. But that was the end of it. That's the end of my Bob story.
I consider myself very lucky to have lived in the same period of time as Bob Dylan, and to have experienced that great thrill every time he brought out a new album, of going into the record shop in Dublin and buying the big vinyl record, usually with a great picture of Bob on the front, bringing it home, putting it on the turntable and playing it over and over again. And it's a thrill I've had many, many times. Every time he brought out an album, I had that same thrill, and I still do. He has such a massive catalogue of work now that I could have picked any of his songs. But this is Romance in Durango. This comes from the album Desire, which Bob mostly wrote with another writer and a theatre director, Jacques Levy. And I think Jacques brings that lovely cinematic feel to the whole thing. And that's probably why Bob asked him to write it with him. Romance in Durango tells the story of a young couple on the escape, on the run, through probably Mexico, after he's accused of shooting Ramon in the cantina. And that's the story, just the travel through the land. And it has a very a cowboy feel to it. It's like a cowboy movie. And because it is so cinematic, when you listen to it, you can actually see I can anyway, see the whole story unfolding. I've great memories of playing this song in the Harcourt Hotel we used to do in the Fleadh Cowboys. We used to play a Sunday afternoon residency way back in the early days, and I got to really love this song. So I'd like to thank the Irish Cultural Centre in Hammersmith, who do great work, and Shay Mary Doyle, who asked me to do this. And I'd like to thank Laura, who's filming this on a very primitive iPad. And Laura turned me on to all the early Dylan albums, the ones before Highway 61, which she had before she ever met me. And she was at the famous Bob Dylan concert in the Adelphi in 1966. I wasn't. So I'd also very much like to thank Bob himself for all the great work, inspiration, the joy that he's brought to me over 65 years. So happy birthday, Bob. I love you. chili peppers in the blistering sun, dust on my face and on my cape, me and Magdalena on the run. I think this time we shall escape. Show my guitar to the baker's son for a few crumbs and a place to hide, but I can get another one, and I'll play for Magdalena as we ride. Don't llores, mi querida, Dios nos vigila. Soon the horse will take us to Durango. I got a name, vida. Soon the desert will be gone. Soon we will be dancing the fandango. Past the Aztec ruins and the ghosts of our people, hoofbeats like castanets on stone. At night I dream of bells in the village steeple, and I see the bloody face of Ramon. Was it me that shot him down in the cantina? Was it my hand that held the gun? Come let us fly, my Magdalena. The dogs are barking and what's done is done. Don't llores, mi querida, Dios nos vigila. Soon the horse will take us to Durango. I got a maybe vida. Soon the desert will be gone. Soon we will be dancing the fandango. At the corrida we'll sit in the shade and watch the young torero stand alone. We'll drink tequila where our grandfather stayed, and the road would be to Durango, and the padre will recite the prayers of old in a little church this side of town. I will wear new boots and an earring of gold. You shine with diamonds in your wedding gown. Well, the way is long, but the end is near. Already the fiesta has begun. The face of God will appear with the serpent eyes of obsidian. Don't llores, mi querida, Dios nos vigila. Soon the horse will take us to Durango. I got a mi vida. Soon the desert will be gone. Soon we will be dancing the fandango. Was that the thunder that I heard? My head is vibrating and I feel a sharp pain. Come sit by me, don't say a word. Well, can it be that I am slain? Quick, Magdalena, take my gun. Look up in the hills, that flash of light. Aim it well, my little one. We may not make it through the night. No llores, mi querida, Dios nos vigila. Soon the horse will take us to the Durango. I got a mi vida. Soon the desert will be gone. Soon we will be dancing the